This is Kyle from TrueStory.fm. I'm going to tell you two things about myself. One, I love making podcasts. And two, I hate commercials. And yet, here I am caught between those two opposing forces. I'm sure you've noticed, but the world is getting more expensive. And that goes for the nuts and bolts of making podcasts, too. Equipment, server fees, website hosting, it's costing more and more to do the thing I love. Which brings me to you. By becoming a member, you can help us keep making cool stuff. $5 a month gets you access to your own private feed full of early access, ad-free shows, plus exclusive stuff just for our insiders. That's less than the cost of a Happy Meal at McDonald's. Plus, no commercials. I don't want to be saying this any more than you want to be hearing it, so a quick way to shut me up would be to clickety-clack those keys over to truestory.fm/join and find out how you can help us out. Now, go do something nice for yourself.
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
In a world where podcasts are a dime a dozen, one show dares to stand out from the rest.
The Film Board, a podcast unafraid to tell it like it is.
We're here for one reason and one reason only. Downloads.
That's right. We review new release movies because that's what gets people's attention.
But just because we're in it for the clicks doesn't mean we don't take our job seriously.
We're part of the Next Reel family of film podcasts, and we're proud of it.
Our reviews are just as insightful and thought-provoking as any of our other film podcasts.
It's just that this podcast is all about that sweet, sweet SEO.
The nectar squoze from the tree of Bing.
We're only human, but we're also creators.
And creators eat clicks to survive.
So if you want honest, unfiltered opinions on the very latest movies right on opening weekend,
delivered with the self-awareness of a team looking for downloads,
then tune in to The Film Board.
Where every download counts, but yours counts the most.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
I never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel.
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Oh, there you are. I was hoping you'd make it. Come in, sit down. Welcome to the Story Well. If you've found your way here, then here is where you belong. And joining us at the table, again, is podcast impresario, Mr. Pete Wright.
I don't know why you keep inviting me back, but I am here and I am delighted as ever to be making stories with you today, Kyle.
I'm very glad for that. As I've been thinking about stories recently, we have come of an age where now events that happened in our history are being dramatized. So I'm thinking of like the O.J. Simpson television series that they did, and a lot of like in this Saturday Night Live movie, the Saturday night thing came on, and the Tommy Lee and a bunch of these different things of like, I remember these things happening and now they're being dramatized. And I know you've seen a lot of stuff and seen a lot of the movies and stuff like Rocket Man or Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's about people actually know, as opposed to like Walk the Line, which is sort of like my dad's music. Like these are, we're getting more and more contemporary.
Sure.
So when you see these things, when you see this, to your mind, how important is historical accuracy in those stories? Because we're now hearing, because the people who these subjects are about are still alive, are saying none of that happened, or that's not how we came up with that song. How important is it to you to like have the historical accuracy versus them telling a good story?
That is just a stupid hard question, Kyle. Because like, for example, I just watched September 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the story of the 1972 Munich Olympics, which has been told before, but this was from the perspective of the people in the control room of the broadcast center, the sports broadcast center. And so, it sort of hinges on Peter Jennings and Jim McKay as they're sort of the broadcasters and the producer of the sports broadcast, saying, "Hey, we can actually do something because we're here on the ground." And I really enjoyed the movie. I really, really did. But of course, the events took place 2 or 3 months before I was born.
Yeah.
And so I grew up hearing most of this stuff from my dad, and now I don't know to historical accuracy what really happened. How true is it? How real is it that they dragged the studio camera across the lawn to film the hotel in the Athletes Village? How real is that? I don't know. In that regard, I feel like I am done a bit of a disservice by creative license taken on these sorts of activities, because I may not go back and watch an actual documentary about this story. So now this is all I've got. And if I'm later in a cocktail conversation and somebody says, "What'd you think of it?" and I mention a character that didn't exist in real life, then I am led down this sort of primrose path about the true story of whatever event we're talking about and look like a doofus. And I think it's important to get it as accurate as we can. And if we can't get it accurate, is the story worth telling, right? If we have to make stuff up in order to make this real event seem better, then how worth it is that particular story or that angle worth telling? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a really open question, but I'm curious. I mean, where does that come from for you? Why are you percolating on this particular?
I'm not sure. I guess part of it is I just, as the two examples that I had, we have Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man as, the story of Queen and Elton John, respectively. And I found that with Bohemian Rhapsody, they were attempting some sort of historical accuracy and recreating Live Aid and, all of these sort of important events that we remember there. And Rocket Man is the story of Elton John approximately from the same time period. I mean, they were sort of contemporary, so it's overlapping, but not concerned at all with that a firm grasp on reality, because it starts out from a place of saying I am a drunk and a liar, and not everything you're going to hear is going to be true. And then you have that sort of more fabulous thing of it. And it just seems to me those things I find more entertaining, because I'm not trying to nitpick in the same way that I have not seen Saturday Night yet. But just from watching the trailers, I was like, that's not exactly how that stuff didn't happen. And the same, I can't remember what was the name for Aaron Sorkin's Lucille Ball.
Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't remember the name.
Yeah, like all those things did happen. They just didn't happen at the same time. So combining all this stuff into one,
and that is a standard trait, right? Compressing time and events and those sorts of things. Steve Jobs too. The Steve Jobs movie was very frustrating for those of us who know about the man's life and how those events took place and the real people involved. That was an incredibly frustrating movie, in spite of the fact that it was also a good movie.
Yes.
And it's frustrating. I think, you look at the movie I'm most excited about, which I have not seen yet, but I think addresses, in the spirit of, if you can't hide it, hang a flag on it, the things that you're talking about, is Better Man, the Robbie Williams.
Yes, I'm so excited to see that. It's sort of, it came in the States. It came and went so fast that I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, but I'm waiting. As soon as I saw the trailer for this, I'm like, this is the exact kind of weird I want to see.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a weird that, clearly created by a guy who understands how weird these stories can be. And if you make the protagonist a monkey, you sort of absolve yourself of the responsibility of complete and utter historical accuracy. It's just a vibe thing.
Yeah.
And you'll understand his life maybe better by exploring it through this perspective and not even attempting to do the accuracy thing. And I will tell you, I really enjoyed Saturday Night. I enjoyed it very, very much. I enjoyed Rocket Man, but it's hard to watch either of those movies and not see them as sort of hagiography for the principles involved. Like Lorne Michaels is a hero in that movie. And so, and no disrespect to the 50 years he has spent crafting that show, but really, again, if you've read the books, you know that here's how things didn't quite play out.
Yeah.
And so
I guess maybe it's on my mind because specifically of that, I have been immersing myself in all of the SNL 50th stuff. Watching, I'd say there's so much of it. I've been through most of the documentaries and the actual episode itself and the things around it. There's a couple more I'm still going through, but sort of seeing that as I have an odd connection to SNL because I'm like 2 months older than SNL. So it's always been there in my life. Like, it's sort of like there at the 50th. Hey, guess what? That's happening for me this year too. Like it's there's a couple of those things that is just like marking time. And so seeing them going all the way back to there was interesting historical. And then kind of the sanitized version that we're getting. There's some warts, but there are a lot of things that are intentionally being left out and people's names that are being removed and stuff too. So it's interesting to have this. It's a celebration of like, look how much we did, and then also to not talk about certain things.
Yeah,
I mean, in the monologue when they talked about, hey, only 2 of our former hosts have been murderers. It was like, oh wow, did somebody actually sit down and do the statistics on that?
Yeah. Right.
But yeah,
it's incredible.
It's that thing of the historical versus the entertainment and sort of where you fit in that.
Where does entertainment do a disservice to culture?
Yeah. As we see in a lot of the Broadway shows, like the Cher show or the Tina Turner musical, where it's trying to show their entire life through their music, which wasn't necessarily autobiographical, but sort of bending it so it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always. Yeah.
Right.
But that lends itself a lot more to the entertainment part of it, the fabulous part, because, obviously you're on stage in the Cher show. I believe there are 3 Chers on stage at the same time. So I mean, like they're not trying for any type of specific historical accuracy or anything.
Well, and, speaking of, I mean, I'm cramming as we record this. I'm cramming for the Academy Awards, and I just watched Nickel Boys, which is one that I did not know the story of. I didn't know anything about it. I have now seen the movie, and I have a certain picture of what really happened in this horrible reform school in Florida. And now I'm just starting the process of going through and trying to figure out, wait, what did you do to this place in the act of making it a feature film?
Right.
Because I'm not sure what to believe. And I personally hate that feeling. I hate the feeling of coming out of a film that is ostensibly a true story and not knowing what to believe. It's like that is the great symptom of mistrust of our time.
Yeah.
And I hate that it's in this art form that I love so much.
Yeah.
So I do struggle with it. That's the shortest answer to a question you asked like 15 minutes ago. I struggle with it.
Yeah. I knew that wouldn't be an easy answer. I didn't think we'd come to a resolution. So I think
we've solved it.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done. Problem solved. You're welcome, Hollywood.
That's right.
So as sort of just wrapping up the topic, are there any musicians or bands that you think deserve to have a big biopic done, like either to try to historically accurate, there's some we've seen that are like a specific period of time, or sort of over try to cover the entire life? Anybody comes to mind that you would really like to see as either one of those?
Oh, of course. And the answer is Prince, Rogers, Nelson.
Yeah, I thought that's kind of, I was setting you up.
God, it's the circumstances around media and Prince's estate right now they're just really troublesome. Like this fantastic documentary supposedly exists. I have not seen it, but it exists and it has been spiked, and that is like news this year. I feel like we have the movies that Prince made or was involved in, and but what we don't have is the story, and those are all such sort of spiritual versions of who Prince thought that they were, and not the biopic of Prince's life. I would love to see somebody do that for real.
Would you want to see sort of the rise, like a young guy in Minneapolis sort of making his way and then getting to like, I don't know, his first Grammy or whatever, and that's where it ends? Or would you do a jukebox musical of like having the things in there? Or like if someone came to you and said, how should we make the Prince movie, what would your pitch be?
I sort of feel like the rise is I don't know that we need the origin story of Prince, right? I don't know that we need the origin story. I think the story of Prince is so long, but the mystery of how just sort of the complexity of his life that emerged in his post-revolution era, and the concept albums and the freneticism of his creative capacity leading up to his death, which is still kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
That's the part that I think is the most interesting, is beyond the young kid who can play every instrument on his early albums, and beyond the sort of cult that he creates at Paisley Park.
Yeah, the Svengali
I'm really
effect
interested
of all the people that he
100%
through.
Yeah, but what is he? How can we create a film experience that allows us to see what he represents in history, right? Like I think we're getting to the point with Prince where that would be a resonant story, and I'm kind of tired of seeing these biopics of people who are still alive.
Yeah,
I'm just done with it. Like, let's give us a chance to settle on the experience of these people, and don't give them some time to see what they do represent to us in their death.
Yeah, the Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee show, when it came out, that was the one that really struck me as like, this is the wrong thing.
Yes.
Like, these people are still around and still, I mean, not even old. Like, they're still just like they're just right there. And to have the worst part of their life dramatized into like a pseudo comedy, that was I haven't watched any of it because I was like, this is distasteful to me.
It was the wrong choice. Yeah. They're still on the talk show circuit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm sort of glad that Pamela Anderson has now sort of taken back the narrative and is now out there, telling her story as opposed to letting other people tell it for her. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting, and nothing's gonna stop. So that we're gonna continue on. But all we can do is forge ahead, and let's do that by making up a story. So let's start and figure out. I can roll a dice for a format, or unless you're feeling something specific. Or you want to let the dice decide?
Let's let the dice decide. Let's see what happens. That's what we do here.
Okay. We are making a television show. So
okay, you know what? I'm glad.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted it to say.
Okay. Now, like I said, this can be short term and long term. This can be it could be a mini series. It could be an ongoing series. Like, well, we'll see what the story tells us what it wants to be. So you don't think like you have to be like The Office and come up with 250 episodes or whatever. All right, let's get some genres here. Okay, that is a 7. So that is it's a mystery. Mystery television show. Slow burn. Oh, and a 19. 19 is guest's choice. All right, so we have.
What is that? Wait, what am I choosing?
All right, so we have to usually do 2 genres. So the first genre is a mystery, and then what other thing would you like to bring in to the mystery? Is it a comic mystery? Is it a romantic mystery? Is it a horror mystery?
Okay,
what's the other ingredient that's going to come into it?
Okay, I think it could be. I have some thoughts.
Okay,
a comic mystery takes us into some territory where there may be other properties adjacent, like that are kind of popular right now, like a comic mystery, like Only Murders in the Building, right? a mystery thriller is always fun, right? I kind of can't say anymore without saying the story that I'm already
you're already
thinking.
thinking, this is exciting.
I'm already thinking of a story,
Okay.
Kyle.
Okay.
Let's do let's try for a thriller.
A thriller. Okay. A mystery thriller. Okay. So then, I can get us a plot for the story engine, but it sounds like you were already cooking. So tell me what you're thinking.
Let me just give you the universe that I'm thinking about. And part of this is, you'll know because we know each other well, that this is kind of a vibe that I have on my brain right now, which is all about legacy, right? What do we leave behind when we're gone?
Right.
And so I have this idea in the world of AI where we're living in right now, where we're creating these sort of digital personalities from scratch. What if the universe in which we inhabit, there is no break in continuity between organic and digital life, that we live until we're turned off. So we have organic, our human capacity, and when we die, we're just uploaded, and we still contribute in exactly the same fashion that we did. We just don't have any skin to do it. So I'm thinking about congresspeople, senators who are serving 160-year terms. Those kinds of what are the consequences of living in a universe where there is no legacy because we never die?
That's interesting.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. It starts me thinking along in terms of program degradation, because you have to ask some of the questions. Is when a person, their physical form dies and their brain is uploaded to whatever this is. I don't know if you're thinking a cloud or like a robot body or whatever. Are they still sentient? Like, are they still thinking, or is it just kind of like we have with the AI bots now, where they're just running the mental programs that they were running before? So like they don't change, they don't learn, they're just continuing to do the same thing before, or are they still growing and learning?
I think they're still growing and learning. I think that's the idea.
Okay, so you're thinking like basically that somehow we found a way to upload the soul.
Yeah, upload the soul.
Okay.
Sure, right. And the period that we're looking at is not the shock and awe of just figuring out that we know how to do it. The period is we've done it already, and it's a long time ago, and we've adapted.
See, now it's interesting. If we roll the clock back, as opposed to trying to have it to be, it can take place now, but what if that technology has existed since the 1950s? And so the reason that we're having these things repeat is because it's the same people.
Yeah.
And they're just coming back again in new, but it's like literally the same people. Like I don't know how far back you want to go, but even to like, are the founding fathers still here? Like, are they still, is it literally just like they're just continuing on the work at some point? History is repeating because they're repeating their own mistakes.
Exactly. And the hints that we start getting that these are the same people are that, we're still fighting the same culture war we fought in 1950, for example. Here we are 75 years later. This has to be the only explanation, is that these are the same people, fixed and immutable in consciousness. Just sort of, we're adapting to the fact that they're digital and we communicate with them by voice and keyboard or whatever.
Yeah.
But they are still wielding influence with the same ideology that they were fighting, weaponizing in the 50s. Yeah.
It's the X-Files version of the Futurama heads.
Oh, sure. Oh,
there's still a council out there who's still doing this.
Right. So the big question is, who is our protagonist in this universe, right? Who do we follow around?
Yeah. So does
anybody jump out at you?
Well, I had a thing that came up. So the story engine, storyenginedeck.com, not a sponsor, but we have to take their money. There is a glorious writer wants to bring despair to / with a poison, but they will have to learn to trust again.
Okay. So is this a story of the rebellion?
It could be like, is this the person who discovers this is happening, or it's going to happen to them and they find a way out of it?
Okay.
I guess it depends if you're thinking that the consciousness, however it goes, whatever, into when it leaves the body, where does it go? Does it go into another person? Does it go into a computer? Is it like a Zola from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, where it's living in a computer and they can still communicate?
That was always my expectation, that there wasn't a visualization that was humanoid shaped. It was just a consciousness that interacts, through voice and a bot, that sort of a thing. But because otherwise you get into the mystery comedy, which was done or has been done, called Upload on Amazon. And I don't want that. That's not the kind of universe I feel like is deserving of a thriller.
Right.
It's funny. It's great. I love Upload, but we're not doing Upload.
Yeah. It's actually to think about the what we're having now with the fact that the physical media is going away and everything is going to digital, and then who then controls what you see? So all these shows are disappearing, and then it begs the question: then what voices of there are being silenced?
Yes, yeah.
Even of these voices, these people that get up there, like which are the ones who decides who goes, who decides who speaks. And then what happens to the people that have dissident voices that the ones that don't fit into the plan, the people who were popular but don't, the radicals.
Yes, I think that's exactly it, because we're seeing right now with Musk's takeover of Twitter and the government, the idea that certain billionaire oligarchs can control the algorithm that was supposed to be a thing that was helpful, but can just spike entire identities, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I find most interesting. It's like, what if it's not just, I'm not going to serve your posts as much, I'm going to silence you algorithmically, that because of who you are, you will not be seen. And that allows us sort of backdoor entry into a conversation about race and social justice and equality, by way of this sort of an adaptation toward technical awareness.
Yeah.
And that I think we're sorely lacking right now, if we just have the right vessel.
Yeah, it would be. As it's a television show, the nice thing is we don't have to, sort of wrap it up in 2 hours.
No.
It'd be interesting to find out this, our person stumbles across whatever this is, and then finds out that this has been going on, and that now that system, which had been working well, has now been corrupted. And maybe that's sort of the second half of it, is that these external voices that don't fit the program of whoever is running this system are out somewhere. And so like maybe that's the thing of like trying to find those other the free thinkers, radicals, like what was the whole Think Different program thing advertising campaign from Apple. I was talking about that. All those voices that are now we're joined the choir, I guess, as we're thinking of this, but now have been eliminated. And where are they? And what can we do to get them back into it, to have it a wider variety of ideas, as opposed to the
Well, so so let's take our protagonist character, right? And I like what you said, like this could happen to them. There is, I think part of the universe is likely also dealing with a body autonomy angle.
Oh, yeah,
and I think we kind of have to, right? Because at some point, like you have to make the choice of when you want to transition to this digital space, right?
Yes.
And that then implies what if you could make choices about anything with your body? What if you could make choices about, hey, I work in a job where I need to have a really strong right arm. So I'd like to have my right arm taken off voluntarily and replaced with something augmented.
Yeah.
I think those kinds of things, just like, hey, I wear glasses so I can see better. What if I could do that with my feet so I could jump a little higher? Now I'm going to do that with my brain so that I can exist in perpetuity. And so I like that sort of, we have this character who has already adapted to many things in this cultural identity here and says, okay, I know I can change my body. And now I'm scheduled to transition to digital because I'm ready, or I have some sort of terminal illness or whatever.
Right. Yeah. That actually is, when you're talking about that actually was, I thought, interesting. Recently we almost lost Hank Green.
Yes.
Like if you've watched his special on Dropout about cancer and like how
so
he currently in remission and hopefully forever. So to have someone that our main character, our writer, is a vital voice in current pop culture. He's popular, whatever, and then is going to die. Like has the kind of cancer that you won't come back from, and then is approached by this group who says, oh yeah, we've been doing this for a long time and you have now shown yourself worthy of this. And we're going to, you get, your body goes away, your mind lives on, and then discovers this thing. But then maybe during the process of going along with this, it's a secret thing. Like it's not something that like everyone in the world knows about. Like it's, like you're being invited into the inner council, finds out it was something that was benevolent at the start and now has become twisted. And so he then has this conflict of, do I want to be part of this? Can I change it from the inside? Can I change it from the outside before I go in? Do I even want to, do I expose this? And because there are the great minds inside there, but there also are the people outside are controlling it. It's, that's sort of a conflict. Does that add anything to that?
Let me pose a question. So what you've have you watched The Substance yet? I think I know the answer to that.
I have not.
Okay. So there is an interesting tension in The Substance, which I won't give away explicitly, but it's this idea that, if you accept the invitation, you have the opportunity to do great things with guardrails, with constraints, and those guardrails become increasingly troublesome as you adapt to this new thing that you accepted, right? So, but I do wonder if it's more of a Rogue One story, right? You said explicitly that this is a secret thing that you're invited into, but what if it's not? What if it's just, this is the next part of your life? You're going to choose to do this thing. Everybody does it, but what you uncover is the fact that it's actually poison and it's being manipulated and it's not all good that we thought it was. And so we have this character who's put in a position of how can I make the ultimate sacrifice to do my part to end this horrible thing that I'll be hated for. I'll be remembered poorly for doing this, but it's the right thing to do. Does that, what do you think about that? Yeah,
that's interesting to in terms of like you ruin your own legacy in order to save, the greater good. Like your
good of the many outweighs the good of the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But also that you'll be personally besmirched. Like you're not only do you not get to live on, but also that you'll be Benedict Arnold. You'll be, you'll be branded as a criminal or whatever all this whole time. It'd be interesting even over the course of it to have it be that it starts out as like, ooh, this is exciting. And then, oh, this is being done badly. Oh, I need to burn this all down. But then get to the point, even like that's, I was thinking even just in our prompt with the poison, like I'm going to corrupt the whole system. And then to find out, oh, the system is not the problem. It's the people who are using it.
Yes.
And so then it becomes, then all of a sudden, as he's about to sort of pull this switch, then go, what if I could save this? What if I could? And so then it becomes a much harder fight because destroying something is easy, but changing it is much more difficult and slow and time consuming. And then the story goes off in a different direction of like, okay, how do we get these dissonant voices back into it? How do we get the algorithm back to work for us, not against us? How do we get the hands off of that wheels of power?
Yeah. So we have two directions. We have a poison pill that we know we can use to destroy this thing. But the real work of this series is how do you build the team and engage the right characters in the spirit of character economy to actually help navigate systemic change.
Yeah, and with a ticking clock that them
and what is the ticking clock? Is the ticking clock that our
death.
Protagonist, the poison pill, is going to die one way or the other?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I mean that's it adds that extra thing of in all of these stories, the main threat they use against you is we're going to kill you. Yeah. And all this, and it's like, well, that's not on the table.
This is the last. Did you read the last Detective, right? It's a trilogy of books about this detective who decides he's going to continue to do his job even though the rest of the planet is given up because there's an asteroid on the way that's going to blow up the world.
I've I don't know, did I read it or did I just hear about it? But yeah, I've heard that story.
That's the interesting. That's the character trait, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to die anyway, but I'm still going to find a way to do right.
Right.
I am motivated to do right because I see the damage that this thing has done.
Yeah. Yeah. It can start out as sort of a Fight Club, let's tear it all down.
Yeah.
Blow it up thing. And then it turns out, oh, what if there's a way to do this? Yeah. What if, they sort of get to but then having it that there isn't that leverage against them. That's like, yeah, kill me. Like basically I'm never going to see another Christmas. So like,
right.
What possible can you do to me? It's like, it's having that off the table makes them freer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then the question becomes, do you work from without or work from within? Are you trying to tear down the system, or are you trying to change the system? Are you sinking the ship? Or are you steering the ship?
Right. So I think we have two potential arcs for this television show. Like the first one is we've got to have a building the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So we have to somehow our protagonist writer has to be brought into the fold. Mm-hmm. And from their perspective, they have to come to believe that our protagonist writer is the savior, right? Is the one that they need to trust to use their skills to do the job.
Oh, that's interesting too. As opposed to a chosen one, or like maybe they're like the counselor or the choir. I keep coming back to that. Chooses people based on the thing, and then he's an outlier for some reason. Like it doesn't the math doesn't work out on why they would want it, but it turns out that maybe someone fudged the numbers to get him in, hoping that he would be smart to this. Maybe he is more of a computer scientist, more of a think tank type, as opposed to like a pop psychologist or whatever, like I think he is maybe he's been writing about the fusion of man and machine, like that sort of Kurzweilian whatever thought process stuff too. And so I was just
thinking about that. Like, what if his ultimate authority is that he is a personality?
Yeah.
That he is so wildly popular that he would be the last one that you would feel capable of touching.
Yeah. And maybe the people, the crew, essentially the people who run this, as opposed to the ones who are actually actively manipulating it, brought him in to try and get him to hopefully save them. So like you have the sort of the low end techs, like the sort of the peons, the entry level, the help desk people are the ones who are trying to change this and like hoping that he will be the catalyst that will move things in the direction they want it to go, which would be interesting to have him then somehow circle back to who built this, because it would seem to me that whoever invented this is part of it and probably disconnected from it. So maybe that's how he finds out that there are other voices out there as he tracks down whoever I don't know if we're going to have a make up a thing, or, like it's Einstein or whatever it is, like, or actually have it's Tesla, it's a real person.
Yeah.
Or we're going to make up our own.
God, it would probably be Tesla. Are you kidding?
Probably. Right.
Oh God, he's just hanging out in his light bulb yard.
And he's still like, and so they have to go to like, the specific terminal because he only lives on that one because they won't let him in to the other thing. And that's how he finds out that you can exist outside of the choir. You can, and then that starts him on the path.
Yeah. So and then we have, that's our Book of the Vampire, right? Like that explains the universe.
Yeah. Right. You actually have the mysterious mentor who can't help because he's in a box.
Yeah. Because his power ends with what he can touch, which is nothing.
Right. Because he's on an air gap computer.
He's on an air gap computer. Is there okay, so I may be putting a hat right on top of a couple of hats.
You're not adding time travel.
Is there room to say like that this mysterious mentor, that all the mysterious mentor really wants and is motivated by is to not be on an air gapped computer? Like what is their motivation to either be, hey buddy, psst, come here and plug this one little cable in, or just flip the switch and turn me off. Like I got to be motivated as the mentor to do one or the other, right? I need to be shaken from my current state and into a change state. And that's either you got to let me run the world by connecting me again, or you got to just use me for what you need. It's fine. I'm exhausted. And then flip the switch, turn me off.
That's I know Tesla has been used a lot, but the idea of having that idea of someone who wants to change the system, who is a builder who wants to do all stuff, as opposed to an Edison who was just trying to, use the system for his own advantage, like, or like acquiring inventions rather than actually doing it. What happens when you take a Prince type who's relentlessly creative and remove them from all the external things? What has Tesla been doing for the last 100 years? What has he been thinking about? Yeah. And then to have that as that motivation is like, we're here, like their system right now is all about maintain. And what we want to do is change. Right. And so maybe that has motivation, less like unleash me on the world, but like, let's like the whole, it's creation and destruction. It's like you can't just, the more things stay in status quo, the more they start to fall apart. Yes. So having to have these, they've been eliminating external elements, but now it's like, no, that's what makes things, that's what's stronger. That's how you get, that's pure steel, I suppose. That's how you amalgamate, you bring in extra things together to make it into even more powerful than just the pure, which ends up being weak. So I sort of see this sort of the knot that we're tying together, right? Which is that we have this protagonist who knows or who is somehow convinced by our air-gapped mentor character, has to make the case to the crew that this is the direction we need to go, and that the air-gapped character doesn't have to be a malevolent entity. No. That they can be an agent of change if they are somehow plugged back in to the internet or to the soul network, and that will be opportunity to affect change in the space where change has to be affected, which is where the malfeasance is going on. Like I see all that. So what is our principal threat? Who's our antagonist? Yeah, that's a good question. So we have to have and it could be just a straight up bureaucrat, as opposed to someone who's out there trying to actively like use the system to manipulate the stock market, or to go the Bond villain route. Like, it's more that you just have it's an IRS agent. Like, it's like we follow the pattern, we follow the plan. Like, we eliminate deviations to maintain. So it's not about personal power. I think it's about keeping things running exactly as they are. Like we perfected the system in 1952, and all the rest of the stuff is just, minor deviations, but like we're on the path.
Yeah. You kind of get a Brazil vibe.
Yeah.
Right. That there's administrivia for administrivia's sake, and we don't change because why? Well, we don't change.
Yeah. Yeah, because like they didn't tell. There's nothing in the book that says we're supposed to change.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we have to we maintain, like we keep things going.
Right. And that, to your earlier point, maybe that bureaucrat, right? That bureaucrat is obviously in the system that was created, and they don't change. Maybe that explains, I don't know, maybe it's explained by a bug in the system that causes their upload to never adapt. And that they're exactly the same as they were in 1952 when they uploaded or whatever.
It's Dewey of the Dewey Decimal System.
It is Dewey.
Everything can be categorized if we just have enough numbers.
Right. So really, it's a representation of the system.
Yes.
Right? So we're fighting the system that has created this institutionalized post-life inequality.
Yeah. So you have sort of the whatever. I'm stuck on this metaphor, but we have the conductor of the choir, and maybe it turns out that it isn't actually a person. Like it was always thought that this was, maybe this is control. This is
right.
An actual AI. It was like
MCP.
Yeah, MCP. Right. It was actually everyone assumed that this was the person that was doing it, but it turns out no, this was the actual original operating system. This is OS 1.0. Who is just, everyone has convinced everyone that it's actually a person from way back when, but never was. So it really becomes the ghost in the machine.
Yeah. I like it. There is, we have our ticking clock.
This is, very, very twisty turny as it goes through,
And let's say maybe this is a 10 episode series to start, right? Which is, and so we have our building the team arc. We have our trust arc, our mysterious mentor arc. We have the bureaucracy. I go back to that question of the ultimate threat to our protagonists. What are they running? We know what they're running toward. What are they running from?
Yeah. Well, having that they have to. This has to be done now, because if are you thinking like there's a global catastrophe looming, like that kind of thing? Like if he doesn't do this now, I was thinking more just,
I don't know.
If not me, who? If not now, when?
Yeah.
Like I have to do this now, or else I'm going to be dead. And then, and then nothing. And then all this progress gets erased, and things just continue on as they are. And as we see, things are falling apart. So it's just, maybe it's just the ticking clock is, have you looked around? Like, the world, right. Like this is, there's
right. The walls are coming down, whether we're a part of it or not.
Right. The things fall apart. The center cannot hold, and trying to, also maybe trying to do that one thing before the end, trying to talk about legacy and stuff too, trying to do that. Like, I don't know, you can have the whole thing of, maybe that's even the first episode is sort of like, what do I leave behind? Like a bunch of books that will be, that someone in the future will decide people see or not. Like, when they burn down the libraries and they shut down the servers, what's left?
Yeah. Right. That's melancholy, right? I like starting with that oozing sense of melancholy and dread, like that our protagonist knows something's wrong, but has never been able to put his finger on it, right? That something is awry about what happens next, and gives us a little bit of, Neo answers the call and follows the white rabbit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You start out from that place. Like it literally is just this person that has already moved past the, oh God, I'm going to die. Like we're sort of past that, and has moved into the acceptance portion of it. And then is in that place of like, and then that is when they're approached to say, well, maybe you don't have to die. And suddenly there's hope. And then you expose to this, like, there's this other thing going on. You're man, and you could be talking with the greatest minds of all time. Like you could be part of this. And then as it's like, this is too good to be true. Hey, it turns out it's too good to be true.
Yeah, right.
And then that's when all the things you start to find out, oh, this is there was an ideal version of this. This is no longer the ideal. This is also a system that has been corrupted by the hands of the people that work on it. Let's tear it all down. And then that's when it leads to the assembly team to meeting this mysterious mentor who started this whole thing and go, actually, the system's not the problem.
Right. It's the people. It's been the people all along.
And then to turn to like, okay, then having to stop the very thing that they had put into motion of destroying it all to be like, let's do the harder thing and continue on. And then you have the back half of it of like, how can we change this? How can we add in the things that were eliminated? How can we literally fight the system when the system is what has been running the world? Not just they say this is not just like an American thing, but this has been running the world for this time period since whatever we say, the 1900 or whatever.
Yeah, and you can kind of feel the sort of micro arcs across like the first 3 episodes. You get that sort of world building experience where you ask questions like, why doesn't the news read the age of that senator anymore?
Yeah.
Right? Like why? What? Let's get some texture in and some processing through like the grief. Let's meet our character through grief. Like this is somebody who's feeling their purpose wane away as they get ready for whatever comes next, and then they're given an opportunity. And sort of that third episode twist is, oh, here's the opportunity that presents itself. And I realize that even as the clock is ticking, I have purpose again. And now I'm an agent of change. And that's what I wanted all along. And then that second sort of 3 episode is about the team and the landscape. And maybe that's at the end of that 6th episode, we meet our mysterious mentor. And so we kind of pace out there's somebody we have to meet. You're never going to guess who it is. And it's this air gap terminal, right? So we build up a little suspense leading to that. And then finally, the sort of last 3 to 4 episode act is the undoing of the system.
Yeah. And then it could be then, like you were saying, then in the end, our person does not, the writer, our glorious writer, does not make it into the choir. Like it does not make it into the system.
Yes.
But solves the problem, but ends up being painted as a villain by history. Yeah. And they know that like all their stuff, but to them, it's worth it because like the greater good they do now is better than any of the stuff that they had done before. Like let them burn my books, let them delete everything.
Yeah.
This is more important.
So hearing you say that, he's our glorious writer. They are dead, right?
At the end, yeah. At the last episode, they die.
That's important to me.
It turns out last time we did this, also you wanted to kill the main character too. So like
kill the main character.
That's what things you like. So
no sequels. There are no sequels. No reboot. This is a one and done series, and I'm here for it. Just end it.
Then I'll wait for you to be out of the room, and then in a post-credit scene, I'll have them wake up inside the machine and be like,
it's just
season 2.
Slow push on an old steampunk terminal, and all you hear is beep, and a light turns on, and that's the end.
And they continue on. Yeah.
And they continue on, right? As soon as I'm done with my contractual obligation. I don't know. What do you think? I think we've got kind of something I'd be into watching this.
It seems like it's like I said, it's got a whole arc to where, from woe is me, what do I leave behind? And then being like, oh, I leave behind a better world.
Yes.
At the expense of all the stuff that I thought that I was building over the course of my life. Like that's pretty big. That's some pretty big thoughts,
Yeah. That is new awareness, like existential awareness.
Yeah. And and I also like it to not be a sort of enemy of the state techno thriller of like, they're using the cameras against me kind of like, I don't want that. Like I sort of like more Asimov high-minded sort of discussion.
You know what I love that we didn't do is because the enemy is the bureaucracy, part of the texture that we sort of allow ourselves to build in this story is that the political machine is busy doing small things even though they have availed themselves to this thing, right? You do have senators who live 100 years, or who are in office for 100 years, but they are incapable of real action because they're just so distracted by the trappings of authority. And the real danger is the bureaucracy in the state. We can kind of move beyond the evil senator model and just know that they're all defunct.
Yeah.
I kind of like that statement. I wonder where all this comes from. What a mystery.
And then it comes to the most difficult question then, I guess, is what do we call it?
Oh, man.
I mean, like I say, I've been stuck on this whole choir thing for a while, but then there's also a lot of stuff for last rites and end of line.
Extinction gas.
Yeah, exactly. And last will and testament, last testament.
The thing I worry about is, like, I want the main character to die at the end. I don't want the title to give it away.
Yes. Yeah. And, something with, it had to sort of say the techno thriller kind of thing in there. Some kind of computer term would be interesting.
Yeah. What are some good programming terms? I like end of line, but that does feel a little bit on the nose.
Join the choir. That comes to mind.
Okay. I'm Googling for programming terms right now. 0 day. That's used probably.
I think there's a show currently on, actually.
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah. Quantum compiler. 404 not found.
Well, file not found is interesting.
Okay. File not found.
Degradation is also pretty good too. Like, I was trying to think of something that has like that final feel, that as opposed to like a temporary error. It's sort of something of.
What about something like like to go back to the thriller model? What about something like the shadow state or the shadow stack, the shadow stack, or shadow daemon, something like that. Or would I watch that? Probably not.
Yeah, that sounds like even there's a show that's currently on Amazon about prime numbers. It's called Prime Target, and I was like, oof.
Yep. No, it's like, too on the nose. You're right.
Yeah.
God, I've watched Prime Target.
Have you?
It's not great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a great show. I keep watching it because once you start it.
You want to see.
Okay. How about something playing on, this is way too Apple, but something playing on the infinite loop concept, which is that, like, this is a thing that the administrative state has ended. Or, pattern interrupt, right? How are we going to take a thing and break it?
Yeah. Terminal is pretty good because it's not only like a computer monitor, but also indicates the end, and also
end.
Yeah,
I
feel like there has been things called terminal. So I do not like one word names.
Yeah, no, of course.
So the shadow terminal is like a lot better to me than just terminal.
The shadow terminal. Let's see.
Join the program. That's interesting.
Okay,
because there are AI and uploading.
Join the program. I like that.
Yeah.
I still don't have an alternative to the infinite loop concept.
Yeah. What about chorus? Instead of choir, join the chorus.
Okay.
That sort of goes along with the whole harmonic of like one consistent sound as opposed to dissonance.
Okay. I like chorus, but then you said harmonic.
I did.
It's got to be something in harmonic, right? Infinite harmonics, infinite harmonic, infinite harmony. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I like that. I'm good with a chorus. What is the last thing you said about chorus?
Join the chorus.
Yeah. Recursive chorus.
Let's say we're audio people. We should have better audio terms for like, codec and algorithm. And
I know. I think we need a working title and recognize it will probably change.
Yeah, exactly.
Join the chorus is a fine. Because it doesn't, because it sort of makes opaque the actual techno thriller part of it.
Exactly.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Join the chorus. All right. There you go. So there we go. Our twisty AI techno thriller of what you leave behind in terms of your thoughts, your ideas, or is it your brain itself? Will you continue on what goes on beyond the death of the body? And
now,
how many things can we blow up along the way?
I know what the next question is.
Okay.
And I'm excited for it.
Oh, okay.
How are you going to cast it?
Yes, exactly. What do you have? Do you have someone in mind? Has someone been frantically typing away at a screen in your head as you've been doing this?
Well, I mean, all of the names that just sort of come up, because I just watched The Gorge.
Oh, I did too.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was a movie.
Interesting experiment.
Yes, it was an interesting
more than a
experiment.
good movie. It was an interesting experiment.
Yes, I would characterize it the same way.
Yeah.
I do like Anya Taylor-Joy, and I think that there's room for Anya Taylor-Joy.
The more plot they added in, the less I liked it. Like,
yes,
100%. Like, as much as we talk about on Sitting in the Dark, like, I want to know. It's like this one. I'm like, oh yeah, you can just stop. You can just stop. Like, I just like the more the specific, like, here's the backstory. I'm like, no, I'm actually good. Like,
yeah, right. Well, so I guess for our protagonist, who is it? Are we looking for an older person or a younger person with this terminal condition?
I think younger, because that's more of the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
So if we have someone who is in that age, they're not going to hit 40, that sort of thing, then that adds an extra. Not only is it like, young and sexy, but it's when you have somebody who is, in their 70s or whatever, then you go like, oh, that sucks. But also like, yeah, you had 70 years as a
right.
Someone like you didn't even get to like the kind of the normal halfway point. That seems become much more. So
then I'll throw out Jodie Comer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Is it? I don't know, but that's a face that pops up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That adds another sort of level of, because she can play intelligent as well. Because the person has to be. This is not an influencer. Like, this has to be someone who can be seen with glasses and a lab coat standing in front of a whiteboard.
Yeah.
And make it convincing.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Because we could go. The other movie I just watched the other day, and it's one of my favorites that I think it disappeared. It was Sorry to Bother You.
Okay. With
Lakeith Stanfield, and there's a performer I want to see in everything.
Yeah, the Lakeith Stanfield is in a very different movie than the rest of the actors in Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
And I was fascinated by that because he's out there giving this like full on Oscar worthy thing where everybody else is just cashing checks and he's there fully emoting and crying on screen. I'm like, you're in the Disney Haunted Mansion movie, but like you bring this incredible gravitas. So that would be an interesting one as well, because both of them have that serious side.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have, I don't want to have a comedic actor trying to sort of play up the charming part of it. Like, you want to have somebody that you're compelled to watch, but also then can. And
I could take either one of those. I could take either one of those as the sort of principal advocate or principal sort of not terrorist, but member of the resistance.
Yes.
And the other as as our principal writer.
Right. Yeah. The sort of the almost the super fan who brought them in. So either way it would work too, of sort of the conspiratorial, like, bring them in. Ooh, putting those two together is interesting too.
Right. Who plays the voice of our Tesla?
Yeah, so I was thinking, like, do we have? Oh yeah, I was like, or the conductor, like, who is the like, do you want to have like two dueling British guys like that? Like, it's
right.
all the stentorian British. Like your Patrick Stewart's for the conductor, because then you automatically trust his voice, and that turns out, oh yeah, maybe you shouldn't.
I like that. I think your direction is probably better, going with the more stereotypical kind of British countenance. The first person I had in mind was Brian Cox.
Oh yes, different energy, very different energy.
That might have been in the comedy version of this. So I like Patrick Stewart, and who's his counterpart? Yeah,
that's right. So the question is, would the computer program of someone who's up to, if we're saying it's to Tesla at this point, would they have an accent? or would the algorithm have fixed that? You know, would you get someone who actually is trying to do an accurate to the time thing, or is it just like no because we're using a speech processor, it doesn't have to be. And then you could just have pretty much anybody with
right. I think I don't think we need accents, and maybe that's one of the things that is interesting in the film, is that it is a diverse cast and there are no accents. Everybody's good, straight across the board vanilla accent has been resolved.
And then the same thing whenever it translates to other country, then the same thing, they can just put on like whatever their stuff, they don't have to worry about
the worst, most vanilla accent in whatever language. It needs all life has to have been sucked out of it by the algorithm.
Yeah, but that's that's interesting. I was like, what voice would I want to hear telling me things, and like in a way that to go, yes, I would do that. I would follow you. And I just because he's on Broadway right now, George Clooney.
Yeah,
the voice of George Clooney, just being like, this is what I did. This I set this up. You need to help me solve the problem.
That is the perfectly diabolical null voice. Right. Like the threat comes from the fact that it feels nothing.
Right.
Okay. George Clooney's in it.
I like it.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
Yeah, and he can do it from home.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to come into the studio, But no, he has to put his face on there.
Yeah. Oh, Tilda Swinton too could do that.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. All right. I think we got a movie. Throw Paul Giamatti in there somewhere.
Prestige TV, baby. This is like 10 episodes on AMC.
TV. Right.
Nominated for, a dozen different Emmys, and no one watches it.
Mahershala Ali's going to direct like 4 episodes and not be in it. It's going to be great.
And Bryce Dallas Howard will do the rest of them.
Oh, jeez. Yes. How could I have forgotten Bryce Dallas Howard? I think we got a show.
Yeah. All right. So join the chorus. All right. So there you go. Join the chorus is now yours, audience. We are giving this idea away. This is all the work we have done is now free to the world. Use it however you'd like. Creative Commons attributions. All we ask is that you link it back to us so we can see what you did with it. Maybe you want to write it as a screenplay. Maybe you think you can do all this in a series of movies. Maybe it's a novel for you. Maybe it's a podcast for you. Whatever it is, you are free to use it however you'd like. We just want to see the results. So maybe see some fan art. Like, what do you think that the chorus looks like? What do you think that the interface is that Tesla would have come up with and lives in? I'd love to see it. So link back to us and catch us on all the socials. I want to see it. This is the stuff that AO3 was built for. So once again, thank you so much, Pete. Like we seem to have fallen to a rhythm of getting into some dour technological things. Like we killed our person with a plague last time, and now we have allowed the disease to run its course in this one.
This one is probably more bold because we actually invented a character we knew was going to die. Like they were already dying from the jump. They were already dying. That may be the darkest we've ever gotten.
Well, then I guess we have a new standard we can try and beat this time. But it's always a pleasure. Tell the people where they can hear your voice without me babbling away at you.
Well, I will start with the one where you're babbling right alongside me, which is Sitting in the Dark. We talk about horror movies, and I just love it. We've got new projects coming. You can find the rest of the shows that I do, particularly the shows of the Next Reel family of film podcasts, over at truestory.fm. And I invite you to go and subscribe and enjoy. We've been doing it a long time, so there's got to be something in there that's worth listening for you.
Exactly. And and if you happen to have $5 and you'd like to become a member, it wouldn't go amiss. It helps keep things like this running. Ideas are maybe free, but getting them to you does cost money. So
that's right.
So thank you once again for coming along. I always appreciate your insight. And I would say I could never have come up with anything close to this. So this is the magic of this.
Well, it's fun. It's a great treat. I love this show so much. So here's to many more stories created together.
Well, the stories won't write themselves, so back into the world we must go. Thank you for stopping by. If you're in this part of the world again, there will always be a place for you here at the Storywell. Now, go tell your story.